The morning buzz of the View studio was its own kind of organized chaos. Producers darting between cameras, makeup artists giving last-minute touch-ups, and the audience buzzing with anticipation. It was supposed to be a lively, feel-good Friday episode, the kind that mixed celebrity interviews with pop culture commentary. The special guest that day was Tamron Hall, accomplished journalist, Emmy-winning talk show host, and someone known for her grace under pressure. From the moment she walked into the studio, Tamron exuded calm confidence. Her presence had that quiet power. Not loud, not flashy, but commanding all the same. She wore a tailored cream-colored suit that contrasted beautifully with the warm tone of her skin, her hair sleek and simple. As she took her seat at the center of the crescent-shaped table, she smiled warmly at the audience, waving as applause filled the air. Joy Behar leaned forward, cue cards in hand, and greeted her with the trademark blend of charm and sarcasm she was famous for. Well, look who's here. The woman who's giving the rest of us talk show hosts a run for our money, Tamron Hall. The crowd laughed and clapped again. Thank you for having me, Joy, Tamron said, her voice smooth but clear. Always a pleasure to be here. The first few minutes were light and easy. The hosts asked about Tamron's new book, part memoir, part manifesto, about truth in media, resilience, and how women navigate public perception. She spoke thoughtfully, telling a story about her early days in journalism, how she'd fought to be taken seriously in newsrooms that didn't always know where to place a woman like her. The audience listened, occasionally breaking into applause when she spoke about persistence and integrity. Joy nodded, a smile on her face, but her eyes carried that familiar spark, the one viewers knew often meant she was winding up for something sharper. So, Tamron, Joy said suddenly, turning one of her cards over. You've been very outspoken lately about the way women are treated in media, how they're scrutinized more harshly than men. But let me ask you this. She leaned in, her tone deceptively casual. Don't you think maybe sometimes people are just being too sensitive about criticism? I mean, isn't tough feedback part of the job, especially for someone as seasoned as you? A murmur rippled through the crowd. The other hosts glanced at one another. Sarah Haynes shifted in her chair. Sunny Hostin pressed her lips together. Tamron smiled faintly. I don't think it's sensitivity, she replied, her tone calm but edged with steel. I think it's awareness. There's a difference. Joy raised an eyebrow. But you've had a lot of success. You're a respected journalist. You have your own show. Don't you think success proves the system works? That maybe you've overcome those hurdles? Tamron tilted her head slightly. Joy, success doesn't erase the hurdles. It just means I learned how to climb them. Applause broke out. Joy smiled, but it was tight now, more forced. She glanced down at her notes, then back at Tamron. But sometimes it sounds like you're blaming the industry that also helped build your platform. Isn't that a bit unfair? Tamron didn't flinch. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm describing reality. The media gave me a platform, yes, but it also questioned my credibility in ways it doesn't question others. I've been asked if I was too emotional, if I could handle tough stories, if I was trying too hard. I've seen male colleagues show anger on air and get praised for being passionate. When I show strength, I'm told to calm down. The audience began to clap again, a few voices shouting, "That's right!" Joy tried to interject, but Tamron continued, her voice even. So when I talk about double standards, it's not bitterness. It's fact. And if I don't talk about it, who will? The camera zoomed in on Joy's expression. Her smile had flattened, and her eyes darted toward the producer's desk as if checking how much time was left in the segment. Sunny Hostin jumped in, trying to soften the exchange. Tamron, you're absolutely right that there's a double standard in how women are treated in media. Do you think it's gotten worse with social media amplifying everything? Tamron turned to her, grateful for the thoughtful pivot. Absolutely. Social media has created a 24-hour feedback loop that's brutal, especially for women. It's not just professional critique anymore. It's personal attacks. People don't just disagree with your opinion. They question your worth. And we've normalized that. Joy, perhaps feeling sidelined, cut in again. But isn't that just the price of fame? she asked, her tone light but sharp. The tension inside the View studio was palpable the moment the cameras came back on. The upbeat theme music faded, but the audience's energy didn't. They were sitting on the edge of their seats, eager to see where the exchange between Tamron Hall and Joy Behar would go next. Even Whoopi, usually the calm anchor between fiery exchanges, leaned forward with the faintest trace of unease on her face. Joy's smile was back on, but it was tight, mechanical, the kind she used when she knew a segment had gone sideways. She looked at her cue cards but didn't seem to read them. Instead, she turned toward Tamron with a tone that sounded polite but carried an unmistakable edge. All right, before the break, we were having a very passionate discussion about women in media, and Tamron here clearly has a lot of feelings about that. Tamron's expression didn't waver. She gave a small, controlled smile. Not feelings, Joy. Facts. There's a difference. The audience laughed, some clapping. Joy forced a chuckle. Okay, facts. But you have to admit, sometimes this whole media bias argument gets overplayed. I mean, women have made huge strides. Look at all of us sitting here, like powerful, successful women in media. Isn't that proof that things have changed? Tamron turned slightly, facing Joy more directly. Joy, I think things have improved, not changed. There's a difference. We're visible now, yes, but visibility isn't the same as equality. Joy's brow furrowed. But how much of that is on us? At some point, doesn't it come down to how we present ourselves? Confidence, assertiveness. Those things matter. Tamron's tone softened, but her words were deliberate. Confidence does matter. But the problem is how it's perceived. When a man is confident, he's called decisive. When a woman is confident, she's called difficult. When she's calm, she's cold. When she's passionate, she's emotional. The rules keep shifting, but only for us. The crowd reacted immediately. Applause, murmurs, some even cheering. Joy held her composure, but her lips tightened as she glanced toward the producer's desk, clearly irritated that Tamron had once again seized the audience's favor. Whoopi stepped in, trying to smooth things over. Okay, let's take it down half a notch before we end up trending for the wrong reason, she said with a grin. The crowd laughed, but Joy wasn't finished. I'm not trying to argue, she said, her voice calm but edged. I'm just saying, sometimes it sounds like you're blaming the system while benefiting from it. You've built an amazing career, Tamron. You're respected. Doesn't that show the system can work? Tamron's smile faded just slightly. Joy, it shows that I worked despite the system, not because of it. The audience gasped, then broke into another wave of applause. Even Sonny Hostin smiled faintly, impressed by Tamron's poise. Tamron leaned forward now, her tone calm but commanding. Let me tell you something. Every success story you see from a woman in this industry, every anchor, every host, every journalist, there's 1,000 more who didn't make it because the system wasn't built to see them. And when those women speak up, they're labeled as angry, bitter, or ungrateful. We celebrate the few who break through, but we ignore the walls that keep others out. The applause was immediate and sustained. Joy sat back, trying to mask her discomfort with a smirk. You've got the crowd on your side, I'll give you that, she said. Tamron didn't miss a beat. I'm not here to win a crowd, Joy. I'm here to tell the truth. It wasn't said with malice. It was said with quiet conviction. That made it sting even more. Joy looked straight into the camera. Well, the truth is sometimes subjective, she said quickly, trying to regain control. Tamron raised an eyebrow. Not when it's lived, Joy. Not when it's survived. The crowd erupted again. Whoopi chuckled under her breath, muttering, Lord have mercy, while Sarah Haynes nervously sipped from her mug. The producers in the control room were whispering into headsets, debating whether to cut to commercial early, but Joy pressed on, her tone sharpening. You talk about respect, but sometimes it feels like you're attacking anyone who doesn't agree with your version of events. That's not conversation. That's confrontation. Tamron turned slightly, her posture still elegant. There's nothing wrong with confrontation when it leads to clarity. You invited me here to talk about the truth as I see it. That's what I'm doing. You don't have to agree, but dismissing it doesn't make it disappear. The audience clapped again, not the polite kind, but the kind that fills the air with heat. Tamron sat perfectly composed, every gesture deliberate, while Joy shifted in her seat, visibly flustered now. Whoopi leaned forward again, trying to diffuse the moment. "Ladies, I love a good debate as much as the next person. But I think we've hit the point where the producers are sweating through their shirts back there," she joked. The audience laughed, but the tension didn't break. Joy forced a smile, then said, "Well, Tamron, I guess next time we'll just let you host the show, huh?" Tamron smiled warmly. "Only if you'll be my guest," she said,